everyone, welcome back to another episode of SMARTE Pants. So we're back in the garden, and look how big the tulips have gotten. They're ginormous. They're literally as long as my forearm. How crazy. They haven't opened yet. They're still a little closed, but eventually and soon they'll blossom more. So really excited about all of these, but we're talking about bumblebees, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about pollination just to review what we talked about in last week's videos. So I brought a little friend with me. I've named him Brad the Bumblebee, and he's going to help remind us what happens. So the bumblebee hops around from flower to flower, and on the bottom of the bumblebee where his legs would be, he picks up some pollen and brings it to another flower, and then brings it to another flower, and that pollen helps the flowers grow. Now, the flower also gives something else to the bumblebee. The bumblebee uses his mouth to dig into the flower and soak up some nectar. And he soaks up nectar from a bunch of flowers, and then, he gets so tired that he brings it back to his hive. And he deposits some of the nectar into parts of the hive, and that helps to feed the babies. But sometimes he passes the nectar to another bee. He goes, hey friend, here you go. And that bumblebee takes it and chews it up. And then another bumblebee takes it and chews up the nectar. And then it goes around all of the worker bees. And then finally, there's honey in his mouth. So he goes and he puts the honey into the hive. And that's what's in the honeycomb. So they're depositing the honey in here after they've chewed it up. Put it in. So if you ever see honey that's different flavors, that's because they fed the bees different things. So they chew up the honey, or the nectar, and then they spit it out. And that's how they make honey. It's kind of weird. It's a little gross, but it's delicious. So it's fun. So that was our recap on what the nectar and pollen do. But I want to talk more about the different parts of the bee. I want to talk about how do they get the pollen on their body? How do they get the nectar? There's all these special parts of a bumblebee that help them do their jobs, like their wings or their antenna. But I don't want to talk too much about it now. I have a great picture for you guys, and we'll learn more about the parts of the bee there. So we're going to go over to our special inside scoop on the bees, and we're going to learn all about the different parts of the bees, and then we're going to see some cool video footage of them using those body parts in action to complete their jobs. And then we'll come back for a project. So I'll see you guys in a few. Bye!
Here is the bee. Buzz. The bee has many parts of his body, just like we do. But some parts are different. Like bees, they have this thing called an antenna. But they have some body parts like us, like the eye, but they have 5. They also have a mouth and a tongue. Their tongue is so long, it sucks up all the nectar from the flowers. All of these pieces are on the bumblebee's head. Next is the thorax. The thorax is like the bee's back. Their legs come out of the thorax. There are 6 legs. Here we only see 3. 1, 2, 3. But there are 3 on the other side. The thorax also holds the bee's wings. They have 4 wings, 2 on each side of their body. Ooh, we can see on the back of this bee's leg that there is a chunk of yellow pollen. It's called the pollen basket. Their furry little legs hold on to the pollen as they fly from flower to flower. Next is the abdomen, kind of like their belly. On the abdomen is their stinger. Ouch! It's pointy. Be careful, but not to worry, because honeybees and bumblebees, they don't really look to sting people. All right, let's take a look at a bumblebee getting some pollen on its legs and sucking up some nectar. Here we see the bumblebee, and that yellow sac on the back of his legs, that's the pollen basket. So as he flies from flower to flower, the pollen collects on the back of his legs. And then here we see some bees sucking up the nectar and chewing it to turn it into honey. Once they're done, they spit it back out into their hive. Let's read a story to help us solidify all the information that we learned today about bees and the different parts of their body. Afterwards, we'll do a project. So, talk to you soon. Bees by Grace Hansen. Bees are insects or bugs. Ants, beetles, and butterflies are insects too. Bees live in many places. You can find them in your backyard. And many bees have black and yellow stripes. Some bees are even hairy. Bees have 3 main body parts. They are the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. Bees have 6 legs and 4 wings. They have 5 eyes and 2 antennae. Bees have a special mouth part. It looks like a straw. Oh, and ouch, watch out. All lady bees have stingers. Some bees live alone. Other bees live in large groups called colonies. Colonies live in nests or beehives. But bees help the earth. They carry pollen from flower to flower, and some bees make honey for us to eat. Did you know that a bee's wings beat or flap 190 times per second? That's a lot! It's their wings that make that buzzing sound. Bzzz. They are flapping so fast, their wings buzz. So crazy. Bees are also usually attracted to flowers that are yellow, blue, and purple. The end. To learn about more cool bugs, check out these books on getepic.com. All right, everyone, who's ready for our project? We're going to need a few things to start. Get yourself a sheet of paper that you can glue all of our materials down to. cut 3 pieces of white or yellow paper into circles, make 2 sets of wings on white paper, and cut some black paper into skinny strips. Feel free to have your child help you with these activities, as cutting is a great fine motor exercise. They can also practice ripping the black strips all together. If you don't have black paper, feel free to use a black marker to color some black stripes. Also, get some glue and yellow paint. I mixed mine together, a paintbrush, and as I mentioned, some scissors. Let's get started. Hi everyone. All right, I hope you gathered your materials that we just talked about. If you need a second to get everything together, feel free to pause the video and then come on back. Okay, are we ready to go? Perfect. So today we are going to continue our discussion from earlier in the video about the different parts of a bee. So we're going to make our own bumblebee collage. So you're going to need all of your bumblebee pieces. That's what those different circles were, and those black stripes. So I'm going to turn the camera down so you can see what we're doing. Here we go. So I chose a piece of bright green paper so that way my bumblebee would stand out. So first you're going to put your glue down. I mixed some paint with my glue, so that way I already had some paint ready. I didn't have yellow paper, so that's why I mixed the glue and the paint together so I could paint my white circles. If you have yellow paint, or yellow paper I should say, just go ahead and use that instead. So first we have our bumblebee's head. So there's his head. And then we're going to add his thorax, which was the middle part of the body. And then the last part, his abdomen, which kind of was this weird oval oblong shape. So there we go. So there's his body. If your body parts end up all over the paper, that's fine. Now I'm going to use my yellow glue paint to color him in. Perfect. And now we're ready to add the other parts of the body. So I'm going to start with an eye. Now, a great thing to do is just tear to make his eye. So it's a good fine motor skill. If you want to cut out a circle, go for it. But I'm just going to collage a bunch of black pieces on top of each other until I make his eye. Do you remember when we talked about earlier that bees have 5 eyes? So I'm just going to give him one big one. And then with that piece I have left, I'm going to use that to represent his mouth. So there's his mouth. If you want to make it more triangular, you can. There you go. There's his little mouth. I'm going to have his tongue sticking out so we can soak up all the nectar. There we go. Very nice. And now there's another part of his head too that we can't forget. There are the 2 antennae. So I'm going to take another black strip. I'm going to rip them in half. Make his antenna. There we go. Now, if you don't want to rip them and you just want to add just black strips, that's fine. So next we're going to add the stripes for our bumblebee. If you want to keep ripping the black paper, rip the paper. If you just want to keep them long, keep them long. We can't forget our bee's black stripes. All right, add as many as you want. You can add them all over the place. And now, I think his thorax also needs some wings. So I'm gonna add more glue. I'm gonna take my wings and I'm gonna stick them to my bee. Now I didn't have black paper, so I just took a black marker and colored in some stripes, and then I cut out those stripes. So you can even have your kid or whoever's watching this video cut the black stripes out themselves. That's a great fine motor activity, or even just ripping and tearing the paper. Next, he needs some legs. All the legs come out of the thorax. So the thorax is a really important part of the bee's body. It's my silly bumblebee. There we go. And then, last but not least, his stinger, which comes out of the abdomen. So I'm going to make a little stinger. All right. And there's my silly bee collage. Maybe yours looks different. Maybe the wings up here and the stingers over there. Maybe you were feeling a bit more abstract and not so exact. But that's our different parts of the bee. Send me pictures of your bee so I can see what they look like. And I'll see you next time on Smarty Pants. Bye, guys.